So today we're going to talk about something that's pretty sensitive, but honestly so important. We're going to explore what that journey toward healing can look like for a family dealing with trauma. Because just understanding that there is a path forward, well, that can be the most powerful first step.
This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This is the foundation. It's this basic human right to feel safe, to feel respected, and to feel cared for in your own home. It's what every single one of us deserves. But what happens when that's not the reality? When the one place in the world that's supposed to be your safe haven starts to feel like the source of your pain? It's an incredibly lonely feeling. So let's unpack that, and more importantly, talk about how healing can actually start. Yeah, for a lot of people, this is a completely silent struggle. You're worried about what people will think, about the stigma, especially in a place like Dubai. It can make you feel like you have to face all of this completely on your own, behind closed doors. So if any of this is starting to sound familiar, you're in the right place. We're talking about situations where kids have seen things they shouldn't have, where a parent is trying to heal from abuse, where substance use is casting a shadow over everything, or, just that deep, powerful need to finally break a cycle of fear that's gone on for too long. And if you're an expat, wow, that sense of isolation can just be amplified, when you don't have your parents or siblings or aunts and uncles just down the road. That support system just isn't there, and it can make a really heavy weight feel almost impossible to lift by yourself. And that's the thing about trauma. It's never just one person's experience. It's like a rock thrown into a pond. The ripples spread out and touch absolutely everyone in the family. It changes the whole dynamic of the household. And you see these ripples show up in different ways for different people. For the kids, it might look like anxiety or pulling away from everyone. Maybe they're acting out or they just can't focus at school. For parents, it often looks like just crushing stress, burnout, a ton of guilt or shame, and this deep, sinking feeling of not knowing what to do. And you can see how it becomes a cycle, right? The parent's stress makes the child's anxiety worse, which in turn makes the parent feel even more helpless. Recognizing both sides of that coin is so important. And let's be really clear about this. Looking at these impacts is not about pointing fingers. It is not about assigning blame. It's about understanding. It's about figuring out what's really going on so that you can finally start to heal. It's about having compassion for your kids and, just as importantly, for yourself. Okay, so if that's the problem, where do you even start to find a solution? Well, the journey to healing, it always begins with finding a place where you feel safe, understood, and not judged. For any kind of support to actually work, it has to be built on a few non-negotiables. It has to be trauma-informed, meaning the people helping you get how deep this stuff goes. It has to be compassionate, a total judgment-free zone. It can't be a one-size-fits-all approach. Every family story is unique. And in a place as diverse as Dubai, it absolutely has to be culturally sensitive. At the end of the day, that's the whole point. The goal is to help a family make that journey, from feeling like you're in a constant state of crisis and pain to a place of safety, real healing, and eventually a real sense of hope again. Okay, but what does that actually look like in practice? The idea of getting help can feel kind of vague, maybe even a little scary. So let's just demystify it and break it down into actual steps. So step one is just having a conversation in a place that is completely safe and confidential. That's it. From there, you move into therapy for the parent and for the child. Then there's another layer, coaching for parents, to give you real practical tools you can use day to day. All of this works together toward that final goal, rebuilding a home where everyone truly feels safe again. Now, I mentioned that term before, trauma-informed therapy. What on earth does that actually mean? Well, think of it like this. It's a special kind of therapy designed to give you a safe outlet to actually process what happened. The goal isn't just to talk about it, it's to actively work on reducing things like anxiety and fear, and to, piece by piece, rebuild that feeling of security and trust in your family. Of course, even thinking about taking that first step, it brings up a million questions, a lot of worries. That's completely normal. So let's just tackle some of the biggest ones right now. Okay, this is a big one, probably the number one concern for a lot of people, especially here. The worry about privacy, about people finding out, it's a huge barrier. And the answer couldn't be more clear. Confidentiality isn't just a rule. It's the absolute foundation of everything. What you share in that room stays in that room, period. It's all about protecting your family's dignity and your safety. Yeah, this is another really common one. A huge real-world roadblock. What do you do when you're ready to get help, but your partner just isn't on board?
And here's something that is so important to remember. Healing can start with just one person. It absolutely can. The focus just shifts. It becomes about empowering you, giving you the tools and the support you need to start creating a safer environment, even if you're the only one in the room.
And what about the emotional toll on you, the parent? I mean, the feeling of being completely overwhelmed, the guilt. It can be absolutely crushing. This is where the support gets really practical. Therapy can help you work through those heavy feelings of guilt and shame, and at the same time, coaching gives you actual strategies for managing stress in the moment, helping you take your focus off of the past and put it on building a much healthier future. And now for what is maybe the most urgent question of all. What if you're watching this and you're worried about safety, like right now? Okay, listen, if safety is an immediate issue, everything else stops. The very first step, before anything else, is to create a crisis plan. Your family's physical and emotional protection is priority number one, always. Everything else comes after that's been handled. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. After hearing all of this, what could that very first step toward healing look like for your family? It doesn't have to be some huge, dramatic gesture. Sometimes the biggest changes in our lives start with just quietly asking that one little question.